You don't learn from winning.
Pay to play,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
the worst thing they could do is they win the first time out.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
You're doing them a favor by taking all their lunch money.
This episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B and Pickett. From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now, broadcasting from the churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Hello.
Speaking of Pickett,
Yes.
I had a nice conversation with Pickett.
Oh, good.
Aw.
For your new series.
Get to know a therapy producer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be airing, I think, in...
Next week?
No, 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. You've got a few queued up.
4 weeks, I think.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
3 or 4 weeks. I don't know.
That's
but anyway,
great.
he hasn't heard Whitney yet.
What?
Because,
oh, that's right. He's working through the back catalog.
Yeah, so he started at 1 and he's going all the way. So
religiously. He's not getting ahead of it.
He has
Wow.
not. Yeah.
Wow. And sponsoring what's happening currently.
I
but
appreciate
no
it.
idea what he's been paying
Exactly.
for this whole time.
If he just cuts
That's
out
the
suddenly.
best.
Yeah.
It'll be
He's
like,
not
oh,
even
he heard
aware that we
episode.
shout him out on the show.
No, he had no idea.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
I think he submitted a question to the last show.
Yeah.
So I think he listened to the last
Okay.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Whitney wasn't on it.
Oh, wow.
So he still hasn't heard Whitney.
That's so funny.
No, so he was very excited about sponsoring the show.
Oh, that's so
As
cool.
long as we don't use any curse words. I said you don't have anything to
Yeah,
worry
he's
about.
at 140.
Yeah,
we've
we've
got
never-
time.
yeah.
We're
So
fine.
we're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be
We
able
can
to
milk this for a little
we'll
bit
keep a
longer, I
sponsor
think.
for at least
Yeah.
3
Wow.
words. I think Jacob joined the show on episode 42, so he's done about 100
Yeah.
Jacob episodes.
Yeah. What is he talking about?
Yeah, yeah. We were light on the swearing before Jacob, and then it all went to hell. Yeah. So.
All went to heck.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah,
thank you. You know what?
exactly.
Yeah, let's clean the show up.
Clean it up.
I've been wanting to talk about that for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's that time again?
Yeah.
For you to have this conversation?
No, I've been
about-
thinking about it since Jacob
us
said
cleaning-
twat waffle in Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair.
Since about then, I thought, yeah, we could probably dredge the river here.
All right.
Don't.
Vagina flapjacks. I'll
Patreon.com/therapy.
call them vagina flapjacks from now on. I'll do it for you, Jim.
That just might have to be the Patreon.
If you're that concerned about it,
Great.
I'll clean it up.
Good job, Jim.
Flapjacks. That is now the Patreon title of the show.
Oh my
There we go.
gosh.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Excited to have you. We've got some great questions and a response letter today, which is always neat to get to follow up and find out how things turned out. for a
Let's see what this
particular writer.
response letter says. You guys suck. Shut the fuck up.
I should probably read these
You know
before
what?
we
I'm
get to the
prepared.
studio.
I'm prepared for that.
Yeah,
Anytime there's a response, I'm just prepared for it.
Anytime
Okay,
there's
so
a
it's
response
probably
and
gonna
it's
be
not
bad.
that,
We
I'm
assume
I'm
that's coming.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, we always assume it's on its way. But we got some big questions today, and so we will dive in. First one leading off the order here. My best friend committed suicide. It's been a while since I wrote in about calling 911 when my friend told me she was going to take all of her pills and commit suicide.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
She went into a residential treatment facility after that, and after returning home, then committed suicide in October of 2023.
Oh.
She met me for dinner 2 days before and told me she was still having some mental health issues and was going to try to get into another program. There was no warning signs, as it seemed like she genuinely wanted to continue treatment. She didn't tell me she was suicidal at that time. I've been wanting to write in, but it's been too difficult to bring myself to do it. I found out that she was keeping a lot of information from me and her family. For example, visiting a mystery friend in another state after leaving treatment and before returning home. I found this out from her family when they asked if I knew who she visited. I have so many unanswered questions. I know I'll never get those answers, but I can't stop thinking about them sometimes. Today would have been her 31st birthday, so these questions are gnawing at me again. It still hurts to know that she was keeping things from me. Do you have any suggestions for coping strategies that can help me accept that I'll never get these answers and help me to stop thinking about those questions? Thanks for everything y'all do. This podcast has helped me so much. Anonymous. Pronouns are she and her.
Oh, buddy,
Really
I'm
tough
sorry.
one. That's rough.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And, it's always tough, too, because when people are going in and out of treatment programs, I mean, in theory, good, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're doing the right thing, and that's usually a sign that we would consider them to have stronger resiliency. We would
Right.
if we were scoring them as a therapist,
Yeah.
you're adding that to the pros column. You're saying, hey, this is evidence for help seeking. This is evidence for resiliency. They're not giving up, even though they're still having, kind of regression and relapse when they get out of programs. We're usually seeing that as a good thing. And so I'm in that sense, I guess, Ryder, I want to just respond and validate where you're saying, I did not see this coming. And
Yeah.
her family and I
Right.
were stunned. She was in and out of treatment. She was going to another one. But yeah, clearly the wheels fell off in between episodes of care. That's always a mess.
I'm
Yeah.
curious. I just had a thought, and I'm curious if you guys think differently because of your professions. Because I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking about friends that have committed suicide over the years, and then friends that were suicidal and then got treatment, and it always has to me, and still in many ways I think feels to me, when that person goes in for treatment, I feel like, oh, we can kind of declare victory,
Right.
like we have succeeded.
Right.
And this person is now getting the help that they need, and it's in some ways the end of a story for me in my own brain.
Yeah.
Now, because you guys are on the other side with the treatment, do you know what I mean? Does that make
Yes.
sense to you? Do you share in that? Do you not share in that because of your jobs? What do you think about that?
The way I kind of look at it is almost it's not like you're not like, okay, cool, we're done, but it's almost, for the family, it's almost kind of like respite.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of approach it that way with family members. I would always kind of take a similar approach when it came to like a client coming into residential treatment for substance use or for co-occurring mental health and substance use, where the family's been dealing with this, they're stressed. And it's almost kind of like, I'll talk to the family and be like, okay, this is tag team. You tagged me. I got it. You can rest.
Mm-hmm.
You rest now. Let me take it from here. And then I'll tag you back in a minute. And and it's kind of that kind of relationship.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily, it's success in the sense that like, okay, cool. We got them someplace safe. Awesome. Now we can kind of rest for a little bit. They got professional help, knowing that, we're going to be back involved at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense, Jacob. I actually hadn't really thought about it from that perspective before, that it's like, and now that you say it from a medical perspective, when somebody goes in, for like medical treatment, same, it's like, all right, well, you're being monitored by doctors. So like I can have that wave of relief or kind of take a step back. And yeah, it can give the illusion when we're talking about mental health, specifically suicide, that, they're going to get better then. You're like, all right, they're in treatment. So it's almost like a natural progression in your mind that they'll get better and they'll be out and things will just be, quote, I'm saying, quote, better, like not, you don't have to worry about them taking that same path. So then when the opposite happens and the person does follow
it's that
through.
much more jarring.
Yes, because the expectation was totally opposite.
Like, we were winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were ahead. Like we were ahead of the game.
So what happened? Who did they go visit?
Right.
It kind of, the shock effect is almost more intense in that sense.
Yeah. And I'm not, so I think there is an appropriate amount of interest in that question of like, who did they go see? What was going on? By the family and by the writer, because I would not be surprised if that somehow was the variable, which is something that's very common. When you do have a patient who is suicidal, very fragile, in and out of episodes of care, Jacob's right. Like, from our perspective, there is the sense of we're winning, we're doing something in the right way. But usually we're also very much about staying away from emotional variables. If they're like, I'm going to call my ex-boyfriend when I get out. Girl, don't. Don't. No, I think I'm feeling a lot better. No.
Yeah.
Like, you are feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
Let's keep you feeling better.
Yeah,
Yes.
the concrete's not dry.
Let's not call that guy.
No, because I don't know
maybe never.
what bomb they're going to lob at you or
Yeah.
whatever. And so a lot of times when people start to feel better, there is this sense, and I guess you could compare this to a lot of physical maladies where people start to feel better and they're like, I'm great, I'm good. And you're like, no, stay down,
Finish the treatment,
rest,
follow the protocol.
finish the treatment.
No.
Like, I think I've got it from here. And like, that's not how this works. Like,
They gave you 6 antibiotic pills that you're
Right.
supposed to take every day. Take the whole cycle.
Finish the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't do anything interesting. Because there's this angle of you do have a weakened psychic immune system. And this is something that happens a lot for us in addictions treatment as well, that when people finally leave our program, they're 30 days sober, and you might think, man, this guy's never been sober that long. You did it. This is so great. They're graduating the program. There's hugs, handshakes, and goodbyes. And a lot of them feel like, I'm ready to get back into real life. And they have a lot of things they want to get done because they've been suspending their life to get mental health help. And so now it's like, I'm going to go interview for a job, and I'm going to go ask that girl out, and I'm going to go do this thing. And we're like, no. Don't do anything like that right now. You can't handle it. Your immune system is very, very weak. I don't want you interviewing for a new job. I know you're excited that you're sober, but if you get rejected, you don't have coping skills yet. Like, we've got to get the paint dry. Hearing that she went on a, kind of anonymous trip to connect with somebody, might have been somebody from the hospital that she made friends with, might have been an internet friend that she's been meaning to go see. I don't know, but
Could
I
have
don't
also
like
been
it.
nothing.
Could have been nothing.
Yeah.
Could have been nothing.
Yeah.
Could be
I
there's
mean-
like a butcher shop over there that she really likes.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing too.
I would
that
travel
think
for a good steak.
Yeah.
for the writer and the family members and friends, anybody in this situation, you're looking for meaning,
Yeah,
and so sometimes you're going to be finding it where there isn't any.
good point.
If you're looking for, you drive down the street and you're trying to find a red car, you're going to start seeing red cars everywhere.
Yeah,
So it's I don't know. I think that's the toughest part about this is that, yeah, you have a lot of unanswered questions, and you're going to have to come to peace with the fact that you're never going to have answers to those.
yeah. I think it's very natural to want to solve it. There's this sense of, what was it? What went wrong? What did that last 24 hours look like? And I get that energy, and I think next of kin are going to investigate, because they need to know more just to have a full completed story if they can. But as the friend in the situation, I think you can rest with the conclusion, my friend had very severe mental illness. They were suicidal, they were chronically depressed, they had all sorts of unique variables, and ultimately that is the disease that ended her life. And sometimes you can kind of have a sense of peace by knowing that. Like if your friend tells you that they have a terminal illness, and obviously this doesn't have to be terminal, but it can be. And if you find that out and then, you discover that they passed, the last 24 hours or the last week of their life isn't necessarily a mystery to be solved because you know what fundamentally it was that caused it. And I think with mental health stuff, sometimes, because the writer's asking, how can I let go of this question? How can I somehow not be preoccupied with this? And that might be one of my suggestions, is narrating to yourself, it isn't a mystery how my friend died. It isn't a mystery what led to my friend's death. The very last moments of thinking are a mystery, but ultimately I know whatever they were inside of the bubble of mental illness that she suffered from generally. And I think that gives you some peace.
We in our society, and especially in American society, and I think in a lot of places, there are so many games, there are so many puzzles, and all of these things, you gain some kind of advantage when you solve that puzzle.
Right.
If you solve this puzzle, there's no prize at the end of it.
Good point.
I was going to ask that too. What do you gain from knowing?
You get exactly what you already have.
Yeah.
With maybe a little more knowledge. If you find out, if you get a minute by minute description of that day, doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I would suggest, deal with what matters. If there's something in this puzzle that truly matters to people going forward, then maybe you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it's just curiosity, I would focus on yourself.
You make a really good point.
And focus on starting the process of working through this.
Yeah. No, that point about the prize. There's been a lot of shows and books and stuff that have gone in this line of the suicide is a riddle. Like there was that very popular show, 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And The General's Daughter is a little bit more of a dated reference. John Travolta's in that one. But it's a common
Good
kind of
soundtrack
theme.
on that movie.
Yeah.
General's Daughter had a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it was just a really good movie.
Yeah.
It was solid. I don't know if you're being serious about the soundtrack.
I am being serious.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
good
I don't
soundtrack.
know.
It sounds like Jacob's serious
super
voice.
recall the soundtrack, but
I only know it because I've
great.
used pieces from that soundtrack in different things over the years.
okay.
Oh,
like
that's
it's
cool.
yeah, it's a good soundtrack.
But yeah, there's this general trope that I think, and that energy is very natural. It's why you can write movies around it or TV shows, because there is this sense of true crime.
Yeah.
There is this sense of
a natural
the
fascination.
mystery. What was it? Who did her wrong? Who broke her
And
heart?
it's kind of unfathomable for
Right.
people who don't struggle with it. It's hard for them to understand why.
So they
it's
feel like there must be something that rises to the level of this action.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, a dispairing from the reality of what mental illness is.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, if somebody is suffering with chronic and severe depression with suicidal ideation and attempts, and that resiliency is so low, that's why therapists want them in a plastic bubble, because it could just be the restaurant's out of A1. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, my life
That's
has no
my sign.
purpose. Exactly.
Yeah.
They live inside of a delusion bubble, right? And so, like, we have to protect them from that. But no,
Right.
Jacob's absolutely right. And I think that there is this sense of, like, somehow I'm honoring that person. Like in 13 Reasons Why, a huge mega plot device was solving her reason would validate her death. It would make it better somehow. And besides the whole infuriating reality of lionizing suicide as a reaction to life,
Yes.
and then targeting children as the
Yes.
audience for that, which every therapist in the nation was fucking furious
Yes.
about.
Oh
The
my
other
gosh.
thing that sucked about it was creating this concept of just like, I think, again, the lionizing of it or the validating of it, but also that the way to respond to it is to solve it. That somehow if we can understand it, that is the right response. And I don't like that response, I think, for multiple reasons. One, because plainly, as Jacob said, that actually doesn't do anything. You won't find a good answer. It's not going to be something validating. It will not honor.
There's not
going
going to be a reason where you're going to go, oh, this makes sense
It won't
now.
give you peace. And so the right response to a suicide in your life, I think, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with being curious, nothing wrong with wanting to know more. I think that's natural. But the right response, the response I really want for people so they can have conclusion and to do something that does feel like they're honoring a sick person, I would say if you're feeling that motivation, give to NAMI, give to Jason Project, give to a suicide prevention program.
Yeah.
Speak out loud to your friends and family. Use your little social media platforms to say, hey, had a friend, they passed. I just want to remind everybody how to ask for help. Here's some phone numbers. Here's how you can call 211, and get more. Or is it 988? I think it's
988.
988, yeah.
Yeah, 988 or 998.
Wait.
Try them all. Keep trying until
We're
one
good.
of them
We're
answers.
good therapists.
If only we had internet access,
Yeah.
we could figure this out right now.
211 might be the call before you dig. Also very
No,
important.
it's 811.
Okay, also very important.
211 is
Nine
General
way.
information. 998. That's
Yes.
it. Yeah, but Ryder, that I think is a great way to respond. That validates, or rather responds in a positive way to a person's suicide. Another thing I don't like about the message of that show, teaching people that that's how you respond to suicide, is it tempts the suicidal even more. Because they go, oh, see, if I die,
Then
I will be
people
the
care.
subject of interest.
Yeah.
Then everybody has to solve it, and perhaps I'll leave clues.
And really
perhaps
young
they'll go
brains
through
don't
these things.
understand that how permanent that
Yes,
is.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Which is why, as a general rule, I don't want people to all be very interested in the why. Like, again, it's totally natural. You're not doing anything wrong. But when I can help it, I steer conversations away from that, because there are other vulnerable members of an audience that are also sometimes going to struggle with suicidality. And I want them to know that the way that humans respond to that topic is not by taking the next year of their life to figure out the mystery. It's by donating $100 to NAMI, messaging everybody that that's not the way to do it, get help, and wishing people had done it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing that makes it less glamorous.
And I mean, and if you're truly interested in it, if you really want to burn some calories on this, I mean, there are organizations that you can volunteer for.
For sure.
I mean, you can organize chapters. There are a lot of, there's a lot of work out there that does need to be done. So if you call some of these local chapters in your area, I'm sure that they will take financial donations
Yes.
as well as your time and energy.
You could join the next NAMI walk in honor of your friend. And
Yeah.
ask people that knew her to join with you and raise some money.
You know,
That's
the
right.
other thing I'm thinking here too is that, with like who was this mystery friend and all of these other unanswered questions, just keep in mind that if your friend wanted you to have that information, she would have given it to you.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things, I think Whitney touched on this like 2 episodes ago, which was like, when it comes to like suicide and things like that, and like, oh, we didn't even see it coming. Well, yeah, you're not supposed to see it coming.
Right.
That's your friend intentionally keeping you from that information.
Right.
They need to keep you in the dark. You know, that's how this disease kind of survives.
Yeah.
So, you know, just be mindful of that. You know, we're kind of going down that self-blame road and unanswered questions.
I was actually going to say that with the people, saying that I didn't see it coming. People only say that because there is that part of you that's like, I want to make sure that everyone else is aware that I didn't have foreknowledge of this.
Right.
Because it would be horrible if you did.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a different layer of blame and guilt there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there is a little bit of that as well, which is our own little, our little crazy person in our brain going like, want you to know that I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
It's normal human stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Kind of piggyback off what Nick was saying, the part where the writer said it still hurts to know she was keeping things from me. That is hurtful. But when we talk about even substance abuse and use, this has stuck with me when I've had people very close to me go down that path, and I'm like, why are they hiding so much from me? Like, it is hurtful at the time. And with mental health, it's the same, kind of like Jacob was sharing just now as well. But they are doing that to protect you because they love you. And that is a very hard concept to grasp. But for me, at least, it's helped me be at peace with, instead of feeling hurt, I'm almost like, I see that. You cared about me and you were trying to protect our relationship or protect me from feeling like I knew something or I could have prevented it or whatever. So
that definitely shows up. Another thing that'll show up too is sometimes the delusion of depression is like a parasite that doesn't want you to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
So it's like this deep, dark voice, but you don't want to tell anybody because you're scared that they will challenge it and tell you that your beliefs are wrong. It's not as bad as you think, and they'll try to help. And sometimes there's a compassion fatigue at the recipient level where the person's like, I'm tired of being told that. I'm tired of being helped. I'm tired of being pulled back from the ledge. There's just this exhaustion. And so sometimes they just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And that will happen.
Yeah.
Writer, we're sorry to hear this. You know, I'm glad that we can still be part of your story, be your community. I'm glad that you're listening to this show, that you've written into this show. I hope that you're a member of our Discord community. We are just a bunch of folks that just relentlessly are pro mental health, loving on folks, lifting each other up, when this kind of stuff's going on. And this kind of story will show up in our Discord, and every episode gets a little discussion group going, and people start telling stories and relating and reaffirming each other. And just know that they'll be in there talking about you and just supporting you. So, we're rooting for you, my friend. I'm sorry that this has happened, but, I just want to encourage you. As time goes on, you will start to recover from this. The family will start to recover from this. And hopefully, this incident also becomes educational for everybody in your life as well. And if you're out there and you're listening to this episode and you relate, you're dealing with depression, you're scared, sometimes you're worried, you're thinking about hurting yourself, please get more information. Go to 988. Talk to somebody about it. Those folks will not hang up until you're ready to. They're not going to come knock on your door. They don't ask any personal questions. They are just there to talk you through it. And I've met several now phone answerers for 988.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Several of them therapists in training. And that's a great way for them to get their hours and just kind of continue to get experience. Very gifted people with very warm hearts. Just trying to be there for folks. So if you're struggling out there, 988, or go into our episode description. Every episode has a list of resources, some of them more specific, so check that out. But Ryder, thank you for this question, and good luck.
They also have a website, 988lifeline.org.
Oh,
so
there
if you want more information
Perfect.
about the call before if you're thinking about making the call, you're nervous about making the call, check it out on the website.
Great idea.
Yeah.
You can get some information about the company that you're about to call into.
I love it. Look through the window first.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about how to find the right therapist for you. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Lucky for you, I'm ready to make jokes now.
Yeah, waka waka.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt, and Lisa Tangeman. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. All right, here we go. What is the oldest team sport in the Summer Olympics?
Oh, wow.
Greco-Roman sex.
Yes. Are you going for two?
Gangbang.
The orgy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the oldest unofficial sport.
But it's Gangus Bangus. Oh, wait, that's Latin. Gangai Bangai.
I'll wait for answers.
I forgot what the question was. What was the question again?
Oldest team sport in the Summer Olympics.
I have a
shot.
guess, but I'm going to wait for answers.
gonna hold on
See
to
if
it.
it's on there.
I wonder what's considered
Okay.
a team sport.
I know.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I bet you
okay.
it's going to be like...
Soccer.
That was a
I'm going to throw in football with that.
Oh.
Water polo, field hockey, basketball.
Wow.
Huh.
I'll take water polo.
I'll take field hockey.
Oh.
I was going to go field
I
hockey.
think field hockey's pretty solid.
I'm torn because I remember learning about a version of basketball, not necessarily
Right.
like,
Okay.
you know what it looks
There's like
today.
a
It's like-
Peruvian.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I was thinking of. I was like, is that a
Oh,
thing?
yeah, where
You know,
they like
throw-
hit it with their elbow like through a
Yeah,
hoop
the
on the
hoop.
wall.
Something like
but it was a
that.
human head or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But originally I thought about saying soccer, football. I'm going to go with soccer.
Oh.
It's water polo.
Boom, bitches! I was thinking to myself, all right, they always have had water.
In the
They can do that.
They've
1900s.
always had fields, too.
Yeah.
They've had fields and sticks, too.
I don't know.
Well, I'm
Seems like you
shocked
need
by that.
equipment.
Yeah.
That would have been my last guess.
Water polo was introduced in the 1900 Paris Olympics.
Wow.
Okay, what is the year?
Also, water polo still looks like the most difficult sport
Yes.
on the
Oh
planet.
my God.
I was
How are they
watching
not
it.
dying?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
It's,
dude.
Their resting heart rate has to be
Yes.
like 2.
I watched America versus Spain, and I was just horrified. I'm like, I think half the game is not dying. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
you're
yeah.
really doing. You're like, I hope I also
I think
score
it's
something.
far more than half the game.
Jesus. They are just hauling ass back and forth.
If I
to
went
the
out and
Olympic
played
pool.
a water polo game, and at the end of it they were like, Jacob, why didn't you ever touch the ball? I would be confused that there had been a ball.
oh, yeah. I mean,
I made it out, didn't I? Don't I win?
I think the moment somebody tries to pull me under, my survival instincts just kick in.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer playing a sport.
This is not a sport.
Yeah, I will go on a rampage.
Oh my god.
In what year were the first modern Olympics held? Closest without going over.
Ooh.
Okay, well, there was one in Paris
I
in
know, that's
1900.
what I'm like,
That's a useful number. I feel like it's
I'm
going
going
to
to
be
go with guesses.
post 1900s. So I'm going to go blind on this one, and I'm going to take 1900 Paris.
So you think that was the first modern Olympics back?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll go for 2.
Okay.
Wait. I
No,
thought
there's
it's not going for 2.
yeah, it's closest without going
Yeah.
over.
Oh,
okay.
I thought there were
Got it.
options. Oh.
Oh, good. I guess everybody's
Is
going to have
this
to
on?
guess.
No, I
Sorry.
didn't hear me, right?
I just listened to what Nick said.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
I don't have some knowledge that you guys weren't given.
Yeah.
I'm like, Nick's talking?
Okay.
All right. So I'm taking 1900.
When did you get here?
I do understand not wanting to listen to Nick.
I was trying to think of what year I was going to guess out of the options. I don't know. Closest without going over 1905
All right.
Wait.
Oh,
or 1904, whatever.
Yeah,
Is
right,
it every
'cause you wanna
4
go by
Is
fours.
it always every
I think
4
you're right. I
years?
don't know.
I
It
don't
is
know.
What are we saying is
1904.
going over? What is the definition of going over?
later.
So getting too close to the present.
Correct.
Close to 2000.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you can go under with
So
a
Whitney's
healthy
out.
number.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
your turn.
I did that wrong?
So Whitney's out.
No, because if it's 1908, which it couldn't be.
I didn't go over.
Because we know there was 1900.
We know there was a 1900 though.
Yeah.
The
So
last
Whitney's
question
dead.
said something about
There's
1900.
no way Whitney can win. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
we
need
know
options.
there's a Paris
I
of
need
1900.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess a new
There are
number,
no
Whitney.
options.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying I can't do the closest without going over strategy.
I mean,
Never will work.
I was
with
kind of
me, so
lost on that too.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay.
It was a little
I'll
fuzzy.
take 1870.
Ooh.
Okay. I'll go 1.
Okay. You think we're all over?
Yeah. 1896.
Nice.
Damn. Oh, the flicks.
Just
there There it is.
Life coach.
The pyros have been ignited.
Taking one on my guess, motherfucker.
Oh, damn.
I'll
he
throw in
stuck it.
bonus points. Can you tell me where it was at?
Athens, Greece.
It was in Athens, Greece.
Oh, my God.
How did he know?
I just knew that one.
1896. 1896.
Wow, man.
I guessed on the number. I knew the second one though.
1896.
Okay, last one.
That's
2
cool.
points, motherfuckers.
Shit. I just
Closest
tied up.
without going over. How many sports were featured in the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics?
Ooh.
Damn.
I don't know how many were in the one I just
know.
watched.
Well,
I don't either.
also, how
Either.
many like flavors of swimming? Like, I
Right.
assume each of those counts.
Oh,
know, it
good
has to.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the 100 meter, like, yeah, all the
I'll
different
take
relays. Those are all different sports.
280.
They did the Olympics in 2020?
They did. No one was there.
Oh, okay.
That's
I was
right.
like, did they?
Yeah.
What did you say, Jim?
280.
I don't know, 150.
Okay.
Am I going the right way when I guess that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, you're doing great.
You're in the
Okay,
ballpark.
What do you
thanks.
think, Nick?
Oh, I wanted to win with one.
I know you do.
One sport.
Yeah.
I'll go 175.
All right.
All right, you're at 150.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room.
What I'm trying to picture right now, I'm trying to picture the medal counts that they kept putting up during the Olympics.
Yeah.
What did you say?
280.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'll say 200.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. 33.
Oh,
Yay!
33.
so we all.
Yeah,
Dang
we're dumb.
it.
Yeah,
Huh.
we're dumb.
What? Really?
I wonder if this was Jacob.
That has to just be
This
because
has
of the
gotta be a
Tokyo
2020
Olympics.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wonder if there weren't that many sports. Maybe
It was like curling. It was like anything that there
I'm
was
gonna,
no
I'm gonna look
interaction.
up how many sports
Oh,
were in the
yeah.
Paris Olympics.
Well, no, I'm already doing it. Move
Oh,
on.
that's what you're
doing.
Yeah, you host the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
We'll come
I
back
want to
to
look
that.
this up. All right, yeah.
Oh, no.
Jim, over to you.
That was the last one. I thought
Yeah.
you were like. my
There were
trivia.
329 at the Paris Olympics.
Wow.
Okay, so it had to have been a COVID thing.
Yeah.
So I would have won.
Yeah.
If we had said
I
any
was
other
like, did they
Olympics.
do it? 'Cause
Yes,
of
if the
COVID?
question had
Well,
been
but-
different, Jim, you would have gotten it correct.
I accept.
I said the same thing when I took my ACTs.
Yeah. So if the questions had been different, I would have done better.
If you would have written questions that matched my answers,
Yes.
I would have
Oh,
aced
wait a
this.
minute.
You could have guessed
no.
one.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Jacob's about to call shenanigans.
I'm about to change
Shenanigans.
my answer, I think.
Okay, it's a little late for that.
I not my answer, but the answer to how many sports there were. Because this says 329 medal events, but then
Oh, I see what you mean.
28 core sports.
Okay, so swimming is a sport.
Right.
Okay.
There's multiple medal events
Track
within.
and
because
field is a
There were
sport.
329 events in 33 sports in
Oh,
Tokyo.
shit.
Okay.
So there were 339
Is
gold
Jim
medals.
calling
COVID
shenanigans?
Thing, yeah, the COVID thing wasn't what got
So
us
we're not
there.
completely
339
stupid.
Yeah.
medals were
It's just
awarded.
we were thinking the wrong way about
We're
it.
We were
stupid
thinking
in
how
the
many
right
medal-
way.
Yeah.
We were
Exactly
basically-
what I said on
we
my
basically counted
ACTs.
how many gold medals were awarded.
Yeah, we were thinking the way the average person was thinking.
I agree.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
job, us.
Yeah.
All right, point for everybody.
Yeah. You know what? Attaboy. Yeah.
On the board.
On the
Yeah.
house.
You get a point. You get a point.
I am in agreement with that, ref. That is the right move. Fuck this trivia question.
Here is your participation trophy.
We'll take
True-
it.
true
You know what?
I got
with
gold.
caution.
I think our trivia this week, it's the four of us versus the listeners.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how we're going to do
That
this.
should be the new thing. If we ever go live on
You
Twitch,
didn't know
that's what
either.
we're doing.
Shut up.
Yes.
You quit yelling at your phone. You didn't know that answer.
No, either. You're not better than us. Finding the right therapist. Hi, y'all. Reaching out because I've been seeing a therapist for 6 months now. And
Sexually?
yeah, socially.
Sex therapy.
And I'm starting to wonder if therapy is doing anything for me, or if my therapist is potentially a bad fit. I've seen other therapists several times in the past for support with depression and anxiety symptoms. This time around, I sought therapy for several reasons, but my primary concern is that I struggle with authenticity, and this is something that I would like to change. I have a history of complex trauma and have difficulty being honest with others about what I think and feel, especially when I'm in a context where I'm expected to perform or when I'm aware that I'm in a context where others have power over me, like work or school, and that presenting myself in a certain way is consequential. This tends to be especially pronounced when I'm around groups of people. For example, when I'm expected to speak in groups, much of the time I will dissociate and after the fact will be really activated and unsure of what I said or my tone, etc. Other times I'm totally withdrawn or feel like I'm just placating others. At its root, this stems from a distrust of other people and a distrust of myself. I haven't always been like this, but over the years I've become more withdrawn, less confident, more disconnected from others, and feel less like myself. The last 6 months in therapy have generated some helpful insights, but overall I'm still left with the same sense of stuckness that I've had for years. I feel like I have no shortage of insight as to where my patterns come from and how illogical or maladaptive they are. Although this understanding is helpful to some degree, it doesn't seem to have translated into any sort of actual change in my life. My hang-ups and issues are all still there. The only difference is I'm able to see them with crystal clarity. Therapy has felt like running around in the same circle, and it's difficult for me to gauge if this is just the reality of my situation, if it's because I'm doing something wrong, or if maybe I'm just around the corner from the change I'm seeking. Or maybe it's just an issue with the therapist fit. It's also difficult for me to gauge my relationship with my therapist. I wouldn't say that I feel especially connected to them, but I rarely feel connected to people in general. I also don't feel like it's an obviously bad fit. We share a significant amount of life experience, and for the most part, they're supportive, caring, and I feel like they understand. Sometimes, however, I get vague impressions of impatience, criticality, or judgment from them. But it's also hard for me to know what I'm actually picking up on, or what's just my own transference. On one hand, I do trust them, but on the other hand, I feel myself holding back the same way I always do, even if I'm not entirely sure of what it is I'm holding back. We've talked about this extensively, and like the other patterns I've described above, insight and acknowledgement hasn't really seemed to change anything. I feel myself going around the same circles, aware that something is missing, not feeling totally able to be myself even in therapy, and unsure what to do to change, how to do it, and if change is even possible. All of that being said, my question is, how do you know if therapy is quote-unquote working? How do you know if the problem is you? How do you know if the problem is the therapist? How do you know if the problem is just the fit between you? Is it time for me to move on? Or should I continue to hang in there? Any insight would be much appreciated. Thank you, Anonymous.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, that is really good.
At risk of exposing me as a bad therapist.
Go on. This is your patient who wrote it?
I know. This is them. No, I did once. I was working with someone once who mentioned, and I love this. I love when clients can be honest with me, by the way, just to anyone listening. As much as it is difficult to hear sometimes when clients will share things with you, overall, I just really love it because it means they trust you. And like, even if they're telling you something you maybe wouldn't like, quote, want to hear as a therapist.
Sure.
But I had a client who, very different personality wise from me. Whereas I don't know if you experienced this, Jim, but a lot of times, majority of my clients, we almost tend to like vibe, you know, and they're like, oh my God, you're like, I have some, they're like, you're the best. But I almost like, see myself in them in some ways, you know, because you can relate and maybe they feel like I can relate to them really well or whatever.
Right.
But every once in a while, you know, you have someone who's like really different than like I say, quote, your typical client that you might work with. So this was one of those situations. I did feel like I had a really good connection with this person, but they were just, you know, a little more unique from other clients I work with. They're more logical, like all this stuff. And they had said, they're like, I sometimes will leave therapy. I don't know if I feel better. Like I show up every time, whatever, but I don't know how helpful it is. And then they told me after that when there are times where I've had to cancel a session or skip a week or, you know, they had to skip a week, they said they actually felt like they were missing something though. It was like, oh, interesting. So even in the times when we were meeting, it's like, I don't know what I'm getting from this maybe. But when there were times we weren't meeting, it was like, I really missed therapy this week, or like I missed going and talking about things. And the other thing they shared, which is I think the most helpful, and I would go to typically anyway for any client, is what do people around you say? And they were getting a lot of feedback from friends or people close to them that was like, hey, your demeanor's changed or something's different about you.
Yeah.
And so, I think that I could say lastly, they didn't always do the things that I would suggest either.
Sure,
So I'm not saying you're doing this right, but
Right.
that was kind of a conclusion we came to as well when we were speaking. They were like, maybe I'm paying for this. Maybe I should actually do the things. I'm like, it's an option if you
That's
choose
always
to.
an awkward moment
I know.
when they're like,
This
I
isn't
just
helping.
really feel like I'm not making any progress and I keep doing this thing. And you're like, yeah. And you have to very, very gently help them also notice that the last 5 things you've asked them to do, they never did. And they're like, I just feel like all we do is talk about updates in these sessions and just like I tell you about current events.
Yeah, we do, because you don't do the shit I asked.
Yeah,
do the
we would
fucking
talk about
homework.
that if you did the homework.
I mean, I'd really like to steer you in more productive directions. I just come in here and vent. I just don't feel like that's very productive.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So they luckily came to that conclusion on their own. I was like, okay. So yeah, it was interesting, but it was a very helpful like discussion for both of us, and I thought really insightful and something I would share with any client.
Yeah.
Like, what are other people saying in your life? Because sometimes it is hard when we're so close to it.
Yeah.
And maybe not feeling a million times better.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, and I love that you shared that. I mean, these kinds of questions are so interesting, right? Because I think we can slice this into a couple of different directions. There's an interesting conversation to be had about finding a good fit, because you were just commenting on that. Like, actually, a lot of therapists will notice that they tend to attract people of certain types, usually personality types. And there's something about our way that they've gotten a hint of.
Yeah.
They've read our writing. They've seen our picture. They've learned about our backstory. God forbid they've ever listened to Pod Therapy.
No one has yet that I can tell.
It's coming, Whitney. It's a bad day. It's always
I had
a
a
bad
client
day.
the other
when
day
they
say,
tell
I
you
love
that.
podcasts. I was like, that's great.
That's
I did
great.
not tell
Oh,
her
yeah, no,
about
for
this
you.
one.
Yeah, never
Good for
fucking
you.
speak a word about it. Do you recommend? I've had people say, do you recommend any mental health podcasts?
Don't go searching.
And I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I don't want them to start searching.
They're all
Podcast for
garbage.
therapy.
We're coming up in the search results. And so I'm like, and I'll be like, Esther Perel's really good. But yeah, no, so like the therapist fit, I think, is one area that we should definitely chat about.
Yeah.
And another one is this idea of stagnancy, or like, okay, ways to look at this question of making progress. And I think you're giving us one example of one way to look at that, which is, hey, observe the bigger picture, right? Sometimes you don't feel the momentum. You're not feeling the velocity in the room. But when other people are around you and checking in and you get their sample of what they notice, they'll say things like, actually, I found you to be quite a bit more honest lately. The other day, you told me something and I thought, wow, the old you really wouldn't have said that. And you probably didn't even notice that or whatever. You're less obsessive about conversations after they happen. So that's, I think, another thing to talk about is just how do we qualify success? And, a third thing to probably chat about, too, is this idea of like authenticity and insight. Because I do think a big step we always try to do in all forms of therapy is beginning with insight, but the writer's saying, I've got insight coming out of my hands. Like, I'm good. I've got it all.
I know where it's coming from.
That's not necessarily changing anything. And I think in addictions work, this is something that we've had to wrestle with a lot.
Yeah.
Because we've had people that are like, no, I 100% accept that I'm alcoholic. I know why. I know where it came from. I know what my triggers are. I know, but I keep fucking drinking. And the behavior has not changed.
Yeah.
And we've had to tackle that before, Nick, and say things like, okay, great. Insight's not going to stop you from this problem. Like, you have a behavior condition, and we need to start making alternate changes to this to impose proactive new strategies.
Yeah, I mean, knowing better doesn't necessarily mean that you do better.
Not always.
So,
I've lived my life to this point.
There definitely has to be. Part of that also, I think, is motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation for change, and I think that's in the
That's
addictions
true.
world. I think that's kind of where
Stages of change. stuff.
yeah, kind of where we get stuck sometimes because you may be in action stage of change or preparation stage of change today,
Yeah,
and you
I
may
feel
be
like
in
that's-
pre-contemplation tomorrow.
Yeah, applicable to just in general mental health, because maybe they did make it to showing up,
Yeah.
but like, how did they even get there? Were they
Sure.
wanting to, or did they just like drag their feet? And how motivated are they
A
to
week
actually?
from today, where are they at?
Yeah.
And I think the thing with stagnation, for me, hearing this, I think one of the problems that I see this happen all the time is when there's no clarity of what progress looks like from the onset.
Yeah, right.
So like day one, if I'm meeting with the client, the very first thing that we're talking about if we could, sometimes you use that miracle question.
That was
If a miracle
You were
happened
going to bring
in
it
the
up.
night. Or the other way, sometimes people don't like the miracle question because it's too out there and it's just, you lose people that way. So another way that I like to rephrase the miracle question is I like to say like, look, this is a big investment for you. Yeah. You're investing your time to come to my office. Mm-hmm. You're investing your money. You're paying for all of this. You want outcomes. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically, let's say 6 months from now, let's say this goes amazingly well. 6 months from now, what kind of progress would you describe to me what your life would look like?
What does amazingly well mean?
Yeah. What will have changed
It's
from
just
today?
the miracle question.
That's it.
It's just, it's baked down into kind of a more realistic perspective.
Yes.
But then I get them to define and actually picture what progress looks like. Because progress for some people doesn't mean the problem goes away. Progress for some people means I have a better ability to deal with the problem.
Yes.
Better ability to cope with the problem. Or the problem can exist and it's not going to destroy my marriage or something like that. So I think that's part of the problem is because I see this all the time when people get into treatment and they haven't identified. It's like signing up for a race.
Right.
But there's no demarcation of what the finish line looks like.
Exactly.
There's no finish line. There's no one there with a stopwatch.
Yes.
There's no the course isn't plotted out. Like how the
no
fuck do you
markings
know
along
when
the
you're
way.
done?
Yeah. Do I keep running?
Yeah. Where am I
running
supposed
is
to?
healthy.
What is this supposed to look like?
I'll stay on the track.
And this is what happens in therapy when you don't identify and you don't visualize and picture what progress looks like. Then you get to a point like this where you have no idea. Like even if I'm on the right track, am I making progress? What is this supposed to feel like?
No, you nailed it.
Yeah,
that's totally true. And one of the things I've had patients say. Because I'll ask that same question. I like how you also, I think, for students, interns, and colleagues, helped put better legs on the miracle question.
Yeah.
Because the concept of miracle question is a very good idea.
Yeah.
But the original writing of the pitch is
sometimes.
to say, tomorrow morning you wake up, an angel sitting at the end of your bed. They say, everything you've been waiting for to change has changed. I'm now going to disappear. The only way you're going to know is by noticing. And then the angel disappears. Then you think, oh my God, am I high? Like, did that really happen? Nobody else saw the angel.
Did I just fuck an angel?
Angel?
She was in my bed all night.
Huge titty angel sitting at the end of your bed. Just nothing. Wearing nothing. You're like, I don't know what's happening. And everything you wished for has come through.
I don't know. Did we?
By the way, great band name.
Yeah. Oh, huge titty angel.
I don't know.
Do we have a third band? Might just launch a third. Is this our Christian rock band?
It might just be a good ballad for seafood sugar cookie.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Big titty angel.
Or you can just sing it at any karaoke bar to the tune of "Send Me an Angel." Just go to a karaoke bar, sign up for "Send Me an Angel," and every time it says "Send Me an Angel," Big Titty Angel.
That'd be great. That's a rock ballad.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's got to be done the right way.
I'm picturing like Whitesnake.
Yeah.
But as sincere as we can possibly do it.
Yes.
Like not a smile on the face.
No.
Tears from the eyes.
David Coverdale is nothing if not sincere.
Anyway, that's the bit. And then the person goes through the day and they're like, oh, I've noticed I'm not angry at my children when they asked me to make breakfast. Oh my God, I used to be so irritated and I'm just not. I'm at peace. So we use that question to kind of get people to imagine the felt differences in their life. But I do it the way you just described. I never do the miracle question anymore, but the first intake session, I always ask how you just did. If one day you look back and you say therapy was a win, I did it, I can stop, what needed to change? Like, what is the difference, right? What would you reference in your 5-star review happened in your life, right? So I love that. And this is exactly why we need that here writer, because in your situation, I've had patients say, I want insight into this. That's my goal, Jim. I want to know why I do this. And I'll say, okay. And I'll usually push them on it and go, would knowing be enough? Or would you be wanting that to change? Or do you want to go ahead and set this first goal of understanding it and maybe we revisit this later and talk about changing that behavior? Just to kind of plant seeds, right? But you're right. Sometimes the stage of change they're in is just, I don't know that I would do anything about it, but knowing why I drink so much would be great. And it's like, okay, let's start there. I hope I can parlay it into something more. In your case, Ryder, that's what's missing. So you have like boatloads of insight where we need to change the treatment plan. And I'm really proud of you, Nick. I know you resisted the urge to say
treatment plan. I know.
It was hard. We were all waiting with our
Because
shot
sometimes
glasses.
But here's the thing. I didn't have to.
You didn't have to.
Because you both knew.
I knew.
I knew
Yeah.
you were going to
The
say it, but I
think
already
the-
had my
The
comeback
listeners
ready.
knew. The listeners.
I was ready.
You're going to say something. Sometimes the treatment plan, you're about to push me.
Yeah.
You're going to push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a poke.
Yeah.
But that's where we need an adaptation on this, because I would
Of the
want the
treatment
question
plan.
to be, what would be different
Correct.
for you? And the answer for one of the things the writer said is like, I kind of dissociate whenever I'm speaking. I'm not mindful of what's happening when it's happening. And then afterward, I'm kind of really curious. What did I say? How did my tone come off? I don't have a good self-perception. And so like if I'm that therapist, I'm starting to say, we're going to start doing behavioral activation therapy. Like I'm going to sign you up for Toastmasters, or make you sign up, and like I'm going to have you start taking on small challenges where you're speaking in public in small ways, just to a group of 5, or, giving a toast or speech at this thing. We've got to start developing this, or I'm going to have you start activating this new behavior that you want to audition and get used to. That way we can get more opportunities. We need to get more at-bats, to see how you do this and why you black out. It's another thing to have insight.
Yeah.
It's another thing to try something different every time you get a chance.
Yeah. A lot of interns that I used to work with, when we would talk about treatment planning, they would write really good treatment plan goals and objectives around, improving awareness, improving understanding of, being able to verbalize understanding of blah, blah, blah. And I would always push them a little bit like, okay, that's a great first step. What are you going to do then next? Because at some point you have to have application.
Right.
Yeah.
If our goal is to improve functioning or decrease symptoms, there has to be something behavioral that we're doing with this. And we have to be acting on it. Otherwise, we're just improving knowledge, and that doesn't necessarily go anywhere.
Yeah. And I think that behavior is actually holding hands with this concept, Ryder. I mean, you might be thinking, guys, I complained about feeling inauthentic, finding myself portraying me in very specific censored ways because I fear the outcome. And that seems like this automatic, kind of deeper psyche kind of thing. I know it seems that way, Ryder, but that is exactly why we need behavioral activation. Is we need to make you do something different.
Yeah.
And see how that settles and make it uncomfortable so that you can get more used to the discomfort.
Yes. That's kind of where I was going to go to.
Did I steal your thing?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Were you going to talk about treatment plans too?
I was, but I was just going to
Go ahead.
bash
Big
them
titty
and tear them
angels as well.
down.
We'll make
and-
time.
No, mainly I started taking this 2-day training. I only got through day 1 so far, but on OCD, but it touches on like exposure therapy and that type of thing, sitting in uncomfortability or uncertainty and things like that. But yeah, it's like really similar concepts that I think can help people outside of just OCD. But
Yeah. When it comes to therapist fit, I know that we get this question a lot, by our friends and families, and they're saying, how do you find a good fit? Like, what do you think matters? Earlier, you kind of mentioned, there tends to be folks that become our patients that we seem to get along with pretty well. But then we also meet folks that just honestly, the two of us couldn't be cut from different cloths than we already are. And,
they still come back every week.
Yeah, we
Like,
work with
right.
them. And, their rhythm is not our rhythm. And it takes us a while to adapt and learn to read them.
Yes,
and know what they're saying and when they say it and how to, respond and where and what they benefit from. But when you give other people advice, like here's, things I would suggest might matter for a good fit, or things that, if you notice aren't clicking in your therapeutic relationship, maybe it isn't a good fit, or times when it's like, look, you're overthinking that, just do the work, and don't necessarily make that the priority.
I know. With this writer's question, or dilemma, I guess, my initial thought was, maybe look for a new therapist, but a few things that kind of stuck out to me as little, like, I don't know, I'm not going to call them flags, but you said you'd been to other therapists. So I was kind of curious what happened with those. Why did you stop going to those? Was it just because they weren't doing therapy anymore? You moved? Like, what happened? And then they went in to describe, like, probably a pretty decent relationship with your therapist. You feel like they're listening to you.
I feel understood.
Understood. And, Ryder, you mentioning that the clinician might be like critical or kind of judgy towards you. Gosh, maybe they are.
They get hints of it anyway.
Yeah, maybe they are, but maybe they've built that rapport with you, so they're pushing a little bit, because therapists will do that, and that's probably one of the most common things I see in like Reddit threads or whatever. It's like, oh, I love my therapist, everything's great, and then they did this one thing, everyone's like, fuck that therapist,
report them to
they're the worst
board.
And I'm like, whoa,
it's always report us to the board.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
like,
Reddit, that's
okay.
always the answer.
Also, I wouldn't even know how to begin reporting you to a board.
Don't tell them.
Don't tell them. Don't look it up.
I think it's like declaring bankruptcy.
Right. Yeah, you just shout it.
I declare.
I declare.
Bad
Jim's an idiot.
But I do think that there could be
Like,
value.
what board would you even call?
Who knows?
I don't know.
We're not
It's a
telling.
mystery. No one knows.
Yeah, you're not going to get an answer from the three
Nobody
of us.
knows. Yeah. The real estate board. That's who.
Start there.
Call them. Bother them. Call them at home.
Sometimes I do believe, though, that you can gain value from seeing a therapist, even if they're not the best fit, and take something away from that that's still helpful, and maybe go seek somebody who might be a better one.
Too often, I dislike that people land on change the therapist as the answer. I think it involves a huge overestimation of what therapy is as a panacea and cure-all. I think B, it causes a lot of people, because they want those short, fast answers, which of course we all do. And that sucks. Or they think that the therapist is an oracle. It's supposed to like have some kind of magic insight and be playing three-dimensional chess. And it's like, no, you're kind of doing this emotional yoga thing with us, and you need to clearly specify what's working and not working. And also, writer, you talk about struggling with authenticity with authority figures because you're scared of somehow the consequence of that being that they no longer approve of you. I'm curious how transparent you've been with the therapist.
That was where they were going to. I was like, oh, the therapist is an authority figure.
Right.
Like,
I'm curious if you've been cards on the table about like, hey, sometimes I feel like I really have a lot of awareness, but I think I'm ready for behavior change, and I think I want to start imagining a more creative way for us to do therapy that's focused not on me and me reporting my experiences, but I want to start designing new plays, things that I'm going to do differently in my life. And I want your coaching and support for me to execute those plays and experience those changes so I can audition new mindsets on the road.
tell
Bring
them
that to your
exactly that.
therapist.
Write it down.
Yeah, you could just cut that. You can just turn that into a drop.
Yeah.
You just, here, I wrote into a show. They said this.
Yep.
I want to do this. But yeah, I think that there's an overemphasis on fit.
Yeah,
It's too much.
That's why I was like, I don't know if you have that good rapport with them.
And it's tough because that is also the best predictor of therapeutic results, is like whether or not you have a great rapport, you know, so
Exactly.
it is true.
So why destroy that rapport?
Right.
I mean, I get the idea of switching therapists if you've already manipulated every other variable.
Yeah,
And sometimes
that's
you
fair.
just like, you know, like,
We've run our course.
yeah, like a sports team. It's like, okay, we've given you the best players we can. We've been recruiting as hard as we can. We've been doing all these things. Maybe we just need a change in the coach.
Now it's
Yeah.
time
You know,
to change.
like,
you know how the
you know,
coach
it's-
coaches.
yeah.
They have the same
Yeah.
playbook.
This is not working for
Yeah.
us. Let's do something
Exactly.
different.
But yeah, when the Cleveland Browns are like, you think we ought to change the coach? Like, I think maybe just start fucking with one good player. Like,
Yeah.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
just that. Like,
I mean, I was kind
don't
of
know.
thinking like the Iowa Hawkeyes, like offensive coordinator. Maybe you need to go. I realize you're the coach's son, but
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't have
nepotism.
never
What
had that
nepotism?
position to start
Yeah.
with. You know, I don't know. Maybe.
Just a
isn't
thought.
always the people
Yeah.
calling the plays, but
Just a thought.
yeah, good question, writer. Really enjoyed this one. And you know,
Yeah.
it's something a lot of people teeter-totter on, and it's tough. Like Nick said, you know, yes, it is a variable that can change. And yes, statistically, we do know that is the greatest predictor of results. But a lot of positive green flags are being shared in this dynamic.
Yeah.
I would want us to change the strategy before I'd want to change the coach. That's
Yeah.
probably something I'd
See
want to
if
do there.
They can shift and meet you where
But
you're
for
at.
a lot of therapists, we don't proactively start adjusting the strategy, especially in certain dynamics. If you're seeing somebody for 6 months, like in my practice, it's all out of pocket, right? There's no insurance. When there's an insurance, I have to constantly go back to the insurance and tell them, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing this week. And they're badgering you or whatever. And so it's the sense of like, you sometimes don't have the freedom to decide as a team what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But in my practice, I have a lot of folks that I am just the person in their life long term.
Yeah.
And so sometimes shit's hitting the fan in their life. I'm seeing them every week. Sometimes I haven't seen them for several months.
Yeah.
And then they come in, they're like, oh, hey, Jim, I want to catch up at the end of the summer here. Last time I talked to you was in May. Let me get you up to date with what's going on. Also, I wanted to pick your brain on some stuff. And like, as we're doing this, I'm checking on them. Like, so here's that presenting problem you've had in the past. How have you done with that this summer?
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. So like, I've got people that do that, Ryder. And for somebody that if you're seeing them long term, 6 months is very much considered long term. There's this sense of like, from the therapist chair, we can think, I think we're in a maintenance posture. I think I'm just here to like kind of give you the space to be authentic because you talk about not being authentic out there. So if you're doing that here, we're doing therapy. We're accomplishing probably what's written on the treatment plan. And this is the place we audition these skills. This is the place you're doing them. So for the therapist, they're probably thinking, this is going great. We're building insight. You're talking about your truth. Everything's awesome.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're a bad therapist. Like, that might be the thing I'm thinking is going well.
Yeah.
But I don't know any different until you come to me and say, I feel like we've finished the project of insight building. Mission accomplished, therapist. Now I want to create a new project called change of behavior and new mental postures. I want to audition change and try to experience it. Great. Now I know that that's what you want to work on.
Yeah.
And we write up the treatment plan. And everybody takes a shot because the treatment plan
treatment
was
plan.
set.
Treatment plan.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about failing a capstone course update letter. Uh-oh. Jacob has pulled up the board of examiners. Nobody say anything. Everybody just let it go.
Yep, that's the
What
one.
is that? I've never seen that
Let's,
before.
let's ignore it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt, and Lisa Tangeman. Would you like to sponsor the show?
You shut that down,
Become
Jacob.
a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
Turns out it's easy to find.
I know. I was like,
Damn you, Google.
Oh my God.
Autofills all Jim's information.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole form on the website that just says, are you here to complain about another therapist?
It's just a drop down.
or Jim. Yeah, it's a drop down. They pre-fill it out.
Okay, who can name the most sports that were in the 2020 Summer Olympics?
Number?
Okay, here's what I think. I think we go until somebody can't think of one.
And then you're
All
out.
right. All right, categories.
Yeah,
Do you
anytime
have
you-
a master list in front of you? Because you got to verify
I
that
do,
we're right.
but
So you're out.
Yeah, you can't
Okay.
look
So
at
you
them.
can't.
Yep, so
Or
you
just
gotta
don't look at them.
Be a ref.
We can-
Then
we
how
can-
do we know if we're wrong?
yeah.
We-
How do
we
we
can-
keep
we'll
going?
figure it
You
out
could
when we
just
get there.
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Oh my
We will get there in one turn.
Okay, Jacob,
Very
you're going
first
first.
one.
You've gone last couple.
All right, I'll take golf.
This is a benefit
Okay.
to go first.
Right, I know. I was
okay.
like, fine.
You're going to have
Swimming.
to referee. So, okay.
Wait, you said golf?
I said golf.
Are you going to verify each one of these? Okay, this is dumb, guys. You do know that Nick cannot lose, right? He has to verify your answer.
Okay, I'm out.
There you
Fuck.
go.
No,
There you
okay.
go. It has to happen. I'm just being the guy telling the truth.
But
over
we
here.
know that golf and swimming are in there. We all
Yeah.
agree that
I
golf and
don't.
swimming are in there.
I don't know that.
Great.
Oh,
I know
you
that
have
they're
to-
in there, so I don't care what you know.
Great. These are only Summer Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Running.
See? No.
See?
No.
There's a problem.
You're out.
Fuck you. What do you mean it's running?
No.
Usain Bolt.
No.
What
Wait.
the fuck?
That's not what it's called.
Oh, come the fuck on. But swimming fucking counts?
Yes, because swimming is called swimming.
What is running called?
What?
Track.
That would be
God
giving an answer away,
damn
which
it.
Nick just did.
That's the dumbest fucking thing. They should call swimming
Jim's out.
pool. They don't call it fucking pool. They call it swimming. Because that's the activity. You can't name the fucking activity after the place you do the activity and call that the sport.
Hey.
This is goddamn ridiculous.
Hey, I would have let it go.
Uh-huh.
But now that I'm in a position,
But Nick has to
To
verify
I
verify.
every
had to
answer.
referee this. Jim's out.
It's almost
Fuck you, Olympics.
something about a petard in this.
Fuck you, Olympics. God damn it.
All right, Whitney, you
Okay,
and me.
Whitney.
Fucking
Archery.
dumb.
No,
Yes.
it's called
Yes.
fucking bullseye.
Oh, I'm
It's
gonna,
called target.
Arrow shooting.
I'm gonna say, since no one's guessed it yet, track.
Oh yeah, track. Very good.
I fucking hate you.
I thought for sure Whitney would take track.
This brain is not functioning today.
I'll even give
the
you a
children.
field
It's
with
those
that.
children.
yeah, track and field.
I was just going to say field.
Back to Whitney.
Whitney's
Two
guess is
places
field.
you do the fucking sports, but not the names of the sports. God damn you, Olympics.
If your guess had been field, I would have let it go. I would have been like, yep,
I almost
fair.
did.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's You're back up.
it's my turn?
Yep.
Yep.
Soccer? Did they play soccer in 2020?
Yes.
They did? Okay.
Wait, 2020 or 2024? What are we doing?
Did you say 20?
2020.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay.
Oh.
It was listed under football. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say.
All right.
I'm really glad we just established that because I was definitely getting ready to say breaking,
Oh yeah.
which was just in the 2024.
Yep.
Breakdancing.
Yeah. So I will say canoeing.
Correct.
Wow.
That was one that I enjoyed watching this year.
Oh, Jim's just out. I see.
just
I
out.
was like,
I'm
why
dead.
isn't Jim
Out.
going there?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
because
he
running's
sucks.
not a sport.
Because
sport
he
is named after
insisted
the place
that
you
Nick
do it.
be the arbiter.
Fucking dumb.
And the arbiter did his job.
Is any other sport that way? Is any other one named after the place you do it and not the thing itself? Right? Fucking
I don't
dumb.
know.
Basketball.
No, that is a thing
Basketball
you do.
is, yes.
Basketball is not a place. Basketball is an activity.
Field hockey?
Track is a fucking place. Hockey
Sorry,
is
I'm
implied.
sorry. I was answering Jim's question. Is anything else named after the place that it's in?
I was like, oh.
Sorry, I've hijacked the trivia.
Okay.
Continue.
Kayaking.
I already gave you canoeing, so that's the same thing.
Oh, that's in the same category?
Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone guessed field hockey?
No.
Field hockey.
Yes.
Great.
There it is.
Water polo? Did we say that?
That feels like it's got to
Is that-
be
We have
the
not said
oldest
it.
one.
Water
Is that
polo.
not under swimming?
Oh.
Because Nick said swimming earlier. That's
I
why
thought
I
that's
didn't
all
say
the
water
like
polo.
meters. The
I think you might be
100
right.
meter.
I see it as different than swimming.
I do too, but I don't. But now
yeah, it's
I've
in the
recently,
water.
I've
It's in the
recently
water.
learned that there's a difference between sports and events in the Olympics.
Whole fucking thing's
I
a
do not
sham.
see water polo on here.
Oh, it might be under swimming.
Or they didn't do it. Maybe it's too much fluids, you know,
Oh, they
and
might not have
water.
done it in 2020.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh.
Like some things weren't done.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about sailing? Just kidding.
Bowling.
Also not in
Bowling.
there.
Dang it. Okay, well I'm out then.
For the win.
Oh, I have to name one more.
Bingo rules.
Let's see. Shooting.
I was gonna say that when I said archery.
Yeah, you said
but-
archery.
Yeah. I forgot about shooting though, but I thought ited be called something else.
Whitney's back in the game.
Oh shit! Can I come back
Wait,
too?
what's shooting called?
It's not in here.
It's not.
Oh, I wonder what category that's under.
Sudden death.
I wonder if that's under like track. I wonder if
First to
that's
get
in the
it
field. I
wins.
wonder if that's track and field or something.
Whitney gets another life.
Let me think. What? Oh, table tennis.
Yes.
Ooh, can Jacob
I'm
respond?
like, what's on at the gym whenever I'm there?
Race walking.
What the fuck?
No.
No.
I had
watched race
another
walking.
one.
Not in 2020, you didn't.
Oh, in 20. I keep forgetting about 2020, not 2024.
Do I get another chance?
Whitney wins.
No,
Oh,
you
okay.
you were.
No,
yeah,
because I was-
were
Yeah,
the
you got that
winner.
round.
Okay.
What was
Okay.
your next one?
Volleyball.
Oh,
And you got it.
Sand volleyball.
Indoor and beach.
Oh,
Yeah.
and beach.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, look at me.
All right.
I enjoyed watching race walking in this Olympics.
What
too.
is that?
It's
What
so
is
weird. Did
race
you see the one
walking?
where the lady came? Oh, wait, maybe that was the one where the lady came up from behind. Like she thought she was winning, and this lady just comes up and right at the last minute passes
I
her.
did see that.
I was like, "Is she running? Is
It's
that
a
just
race,
running?"
but you can't run.
it
you
looks
always,
ridiculous.
You always have to have a foot on the ground. Like
It
you
looks
always have to
ridiculous.
maintain contact
Yeah.
with the ground.
So you can never have both feet off the ground, but it looks. I mean, they are like
They
moving like
move.
they're running.
Yeah.
And this one lady's like, "Yeah," the other one's so far behind, who's in second. So she like gets closer, and it's not till right at the last minute she passed her. She's like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
Like,
And it actually is in slow motion because
it
they
is.
were
They're
walking.
walking.
But it's so
like,
much faster than you think it is.
Yes, it's bizarre.
Like
That's
we could
very
all go out in the
crazy.
parking lot right now and do it, and like actually like and be race walking.
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be remotely similar to what they're doing.
Do you think the best racers could do well in this event?
No.
It's a whole different.
It's a whole different animal.
I don't
know
think
how
it
I
was
feel about this.
on here or in person with someone where we talked about like they should have just a regular person do
Yeah.
each event. Was that in here?
Yeah,
when we
we
talked-
probably
yeah. I
did.
was like, I really want them
I
to
am
do
a
that.
big fan of that
So you
idea.
can see
Yeah.
how ridiculously good
Yeah.
they
I mean,
are at
they
those
kind of
sports.
had that in a
They
couple
did have
sports.
it, yeah.
Because there was somebody.
They had the break
Somebody
dancer.
sent us it on.
They had the Australian breakdancer that everybody hates now.
You know
That
what?
was the
and
best.
I feel bad. Like every time I see that video, I don't watch it because I feel terrible for her.
I do too. I feel
'Cause
really
she-
bad for her
'cause
now.
she-
Put her in there.
She's
She-
getting a
she knew.
but she is getting
She's-
a
I-
huge amount of hate now.
I know
Yeah,
it's just
she's
sad. She
getting,
doesn't
like-
need hate.
Yeah.
like
She's getting-
Like,
you
she's
can make fun of
responsible
her.
for silly and
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Being
That's
Yeah,
fine.
it's
Discontinued.
ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
She's
sad.
getting Jake Lloyd hate.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, she didn't
Not
hurt
fair.
anybody. She didn't like whatever.
So on Instagram, one of the listeners last time we brought up the whole Bill Murray theory of half of the average guy, they sent us a video of somebody that did that. So they there's a whole YouTube channel that went to the Olympics.
Oh my gosh,
And then they
that's
got
awesome.
average people that were just showing up there
Yeah.
to do the events. And just to see what that would show up as.
Do
and they
you-
just had them do all the events, and then they show you
but
what that
I mean,
looks
there
like.
was also like a couple countries where somebody just like they were the only one competing in the
Right.
sport, so
Oh,
they
so it's just some
automatically
dude.
got to go to
Oh,
the
Yeah.
Olympics.
yeah.
And then-
yeah.
Think Jamaican bobsled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Archery.
Yeah. You don't have to qualify.
Like you have to meet the minimum standard and you're in.
Yeah.
Dance like your heart
Australian break
depends on it.
dancer.
Yeah.
We've got an update letter, unless there's more trivia.
Go ahead.
Okay, we've got an update letter from a writer a while back. Who wrote
By the
in-
way, we all get a point there. The listeners didn't get any. So.
okay, yeah,
Nice.
Man, we're smoking them
So
today.
good.
Man, they are
You
bad
guys
at this.
suck.
You guys should get podcasts.
Yeah, that's how you get this. So from episode 312, the writer is sending in an update. Hello, Pod Therapy. I wanted to give you guys an update on a letter I sent in a while ago about failing my college capstone class twice. Thank you so much for the
remember this.
advice and words of encouragement, as well as the perspectives on how hard it is to finish a degree. I'm happy to say I finished the class in April, and I graduated college in May. I've finally got my evenings back, and I'm able to focus on some of the other things I want to do with my life.
Yay.
For some context, the capstone course entailed writing a compiler for a fictional programming language defined by the professor. A compiler translates the English language keywords in grammar, like if X, then Y, and when case 1, do case 2, into logic that switches and circuits your computer that they can do computer stuff with. The assembly code generated by the compiler had to execute inside of a virtual machine we had made in a separate architecture class about a year before. It was stupid hard, especially while I was working full-time, and the most failed class at my college.
Wow.
Fortunately, the third time around, I was able to drag the whole project kicking and screaming over the finish line. I'm working a different, lower-stress tech job now, and am finally able to start doing other things with my life. Thanks again for your votes of confidence and perspectives. Over the past few years, I've done a lot of research on CBT and ACT, and your resources on grounding techniques and other deep dives have been invaluable to me. Pod Therapy rocks. Thanks again. Signed, Weird Titanic Metaphor Guy from episode 312.
Weird Titanic Metaphor guy from episode 312 said they have a new job.
Oh, yeah, new job.
Patreon.com/therapy.
Let's get that cheddar in the pot.
Yeah.
You don't have to tithe or
those
anything, but like,
dues.
come on, kick
Pay
in something.
those dues. Yeah, we got you through college, buddy. I think that's a year of producing.
I mean, just another good example of the good work that we do here at Pod
That's
Therapy.
right.
We get people college degrees.
Yep.
That's right.
And expect a little cheddar on top.
Or take college degree.
Yeah. Also, a few have been lost on the show. I think net positive.
Yeah.
I've only gained.
That's right.
I've only gained college degrees
only
on the
going
show.
up in his status. Well, congratulations, writer.
Very
That's
cool.
terrific. Man, that sounds like a hell of a project, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'd rather write a dissertation than have to make
Well,
up my own
because you don't know
computer
how to do
language.
the other thing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's part of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to write boobs on
I mean,
my
I would
calculator.
also rather write a dissertation, but it's because I don't know programming
have a
language.
better shot at
Yeah.
that. Wow. Congratulations. We love update letters, by the way. We get them every once in a while. We don't always read them on the show. Sometimes it's just like, hey, great, we circulate that among the hosts so we can, kind of get an update. It really depends on how many questions we have. And this week, the writer wrote that in during a slow week. We don't have any more questions, which means the queue is open.
It's open.
This is your moment. If you listen to the show and you're like, oh, I have a question about my life, or somebody in your life has an interesting thing going on and you want to throw that into the pot and see what we come up with, Patreon is a great place to submit them. You can also go to our website, which is podtherapy.net. And if you go there, there is a button right there at the top. It's a Tumblr page. but it just looks like a typical website. And there's a button that says submit a question, and you can do that anonymously. If you have a shorter question, you can just type it into the box and hit send. If you have a longer question, there's a form for that. And you do not have to give us any of your personal information, and it says it on the website right whenever you click the drop down. It'll say, hey, if you just want to keep this anonymous, it'll ask for an email address, lie, make something up, just, no@no.com or whatever. So you can absolutely submit that. As soon as those go through, we get them right away. We do prioritize supporters of the show. If they write in, they do go to the top of the queue. But right now, may as well write in because that list is empty. And if we don't have things to answer, it's just going to be a whole lot of trivia.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
Whitney, have you ever eaten at Korean barbecue?
Yes.
Right into the show.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Korean barbecue.
How messy was it? Did you get grease all
Splashed
over
by
yourself?
grease.
Well, you do cook it yourself.
Yeah. The table gets a little
so
splashy.
I don't think splashy.
Okay, I got splashed by grease.
Splash.
So we went to Master Kim's. We threw the meat on there.
I questioned the quality of the meat that he got.
I don't know, dude.
I question
Grease
a
was
lot.
popping
Yeah.
off this thing, man. Maybe you made it too hot. You think that was it? I don't know. But no, I had it on my pants and I did.
It should be like super lean meat. There shouldn't be much to pop. Or
Is it like the
dude.
sauce? Was
Yeah.
it marinade or something?
I
you're
mean,
talking
maybe,
about?
I'm sure they
Oh,
were
that
all
could be.
marinated, but yeah, I mean, I was pissed because we were getting popped with this hot grease. So our
Oh,
hands and arms on the table, like all 4 people at the table, pulling away from the table because we're getting splashed.
Oh,
It was
no.
really uncomfortable. And then everything around that little grill in the center was getting grease on it and was just yucky. And like all the table was just like obviously wet and gross. And it was just enough to be annoying. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like we were drenched, but you don't want hot grease hitting any part of your skin when you're at dinner. You're wearing
No.
something nice.
So we do have a follow-up. It's down if you scroll down
Oh,
into
do
the
we?
follow-up section.
Oh, follow-ups. Dear Master Jim. I went to Master Kim's. That's fine.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I was disappointed to hear your review of Master Kim's Korean barbecue. As a vegan, Master Kim's quickly became one of my favorite restaurants in Las Vegas because of their all-you-can-eat vegan meat menu. Ooh. Rather than partnering with one brand of imitation meat, the staff did their research and tested out a variety of products to select the options that had the right flavor and texture, as well as what had the best cooking experience for the customer. To top it off, their vegan menu is cheaper than the omnivore menu, which is unheard of.
I bet.
My wife and I have been several times, and we have never been splashed with grease. In my defense, you don't cook meat. Fuck you, Ryder. You're cooking veggies. I'm not surprised.
That's a good point.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. It has always been an enjoyable experience. As for Slater's 50/50, back when I ate meat, I loved that restaurant for their custom burger options and vampire dip. Oh, the vampire dip's fucking amazing.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's so good. It's like a spinach artichoke dip served in a bread bowl. But it's like
Oh.
more than a spinach artichoke. The base is probably spinach
Okay.
artichoke.
Yum.
But yeah, really, really good. At least when I went a lot. And you would fill out a paper form with all the options and toppings you want for your burger. I would usually get the 50/50 beef and pork patty on a pretzel bun with vampire dip, bacon, and garlic aioli. Then you get to name your burger. And when they deliver it, they call out whatever the name is. You could call it Jim's Pello Reservoir Memoir Croissant Burger. And they would say that when
But
they
not
brought
like
it.
that. They would say it the right way.
Yeah. So I
Bra
encourage you,
fucking
Jim.
Vo.
I encourage you, Jim, to go with Nick, Whitney, and Jacob to a different Korean
Let's
barbecue
go to
restaurant.
888.
But I also highly recommend Master Kim's for anyone looking for a unique vegan dining experience. Yours in therapy, J.W. Reynolds.
Neat. I didn't know they had vegan stuff there.
That
I
is
didn't
pretty
either.
cool sounding.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Have you both, Jacob and Nick, been to Korean barbecue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do y'all have a favorite place?
I've only been once, and it was on Spring Mountain, down in Chinatown. There.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
really good. I liked it.
Yeah, I was looking up the place that I'd been before. I couldn't quite remember, but it was 888 Korean barbecue. I like that place. It's very
Okay.
good. So, but they usually do all you can eat. Like you can just order off the.
Which-
is that what you did?
I
when you went?
did. But like it, just don't get me started, Whitney. Don't get me wound up.
Wait,
You
there's a
asked
whole
me-
episode about this
Yeah.
from last week.
You
Just
know
go
what?
listen.
You're just going to have to go
All
listen
right.
because we We spent a lot of time
I'll
on
just
it.
push play
It,
real quick.
became the name of the Patreon episode.
Do, 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 do.
Go use Peter's Patreon to find out.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know. I've got to.
Yeah. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get the extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. This week, I released a research roundup on the FDA's rejection of ecstasy for treatment of PTSD. And so we go into the weeds of what the clinical trials were, what the FDA's report
sounds cool.
was, the scientific advisory committee and what their hangups were, and what the fate of it is as a medicine, because it's not dead in the water. It has a path, but there's a lot that the FDA is asking for. And so we go through it and really kind of turn all that on. So there's really good information. But we've got some new friends to welcome to the Theraparty. Who's new to the program, Nick?
We got a new Therapal. Welcome, Christine.
Christine.
And we got a new Therapod, Livy.
Hey.
I feel like that's pronounced correctly. Yeah. Livy.
Jim would know. He's the expert in pronunciation.
I feel that I'm known.
Go on,
I'm
Jim.
aware of these things.
Go on.
But you're bearing the lead, Nick.
I am bearing the lead.
We got a new Theraproducer.
We do. We got a new executive. A new listener has
New
walked
seat
into
at
the
the table.
boardroom.
Kicked open the boardroom.
Elena, welcome.
Welcome, Elena.
Elena.
Who I do have scheduled now for a get to know a
Session.
Theraproducer.
Man,
Oh,
you are
cool.
milking this series. You are
I've got 3 already done.
Damn.
I've got, I think, 5 scheduled.
That's
Ooh,
great.
cool.
That's really cool.
So that's a reason to do it right there. If
Yeah.
you think that
Yeah.
you will be interesting on an interview with Nick,
Now's your
if
chance.
If that
And
sounds like
here's the
something
thing.
to be fun for you.
yeah.
Here's the thing. They're 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes in length.
Okay.
So they're easily digestible.
Yeah.
You're going to get 6 questions, and that's it. Theraproducer Ben Don wants to do it. However, he doesn't. This is not sincere. He doesn't want to answer questions. Apparently, he feels he needs to set the record straight with some shit I've been saying on the air.
That's fine too.
But honestly,
I'll interview him. Send him my way.
Yeah. I think you give him a break.
it's your time.
Yeah. Ben,
you do
that's
whatever.
right. It's your time. We have an agenda. You don't have to follow it.
But for the
And
rest
that amount of time can be shifted by how much money you want to put
That's
in.
right. You just want to go, I'm
Like, if
double
you want
down.
an hour.
Yeah. I'm going to keep
There's
going.
there's a money amount
There's a
for
rate.
an hour.
There's
Yeah.
a rate.
Yeah.
So the rest of the Theraproducers, if you want to participate, I hope to get everybody, but you don't have to. But if you want to participate in an interview, please reach out to me. You can do it through Discord, or you can just email me at my nick@mentalfitpersonaltraining.com. Email me there, and we will get you scheduled.
There you go. Looking
Nice.
forward to getting to know
And
all
out of
the
anybody,
therapists
out of the
better.
4 of us, if you want the easiest interviewer that you're going to get, it's Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
easily.
Nick is going to be the nicest, friendliest interviewer
Yes.
that you're going to get out of the 4 of us.
As far as easy, if that's what you describe
That's
as
what I mean.
easy, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
You're just going to be nice.
Don't be
pleasant.
intimidated.
Yeah.
Nick's Iowa nice.
That's
He's
right.
honestly not asking the hardball
Midwest.
questions.
Exactly.
You know, those really big, difficult, hardball political questions that vice presidents of the past have been asked, like, have you read anything lately?
What
are
book
you
of the
even
Bible
referring
is your
to?
favorite?
Sarah Palin.
Oh.
When Sarah Palin took a nosedive because like Katie Couric asked her, "Have you read anything lately?" And it was
that
like
you just
the
referenced
gotcha
that
question
and
of the
expected
year.
us to know that question.
I feel
did.
like Whitney did.
I got it.
It was a big day. Anyway, we'd like to thank the benevolent, revered,
I
generous.
think about Sarah Palin very often.
No.
Oh, I have a
thought it
pin
was
up.
Donald Trump, but he wasn't
Yeah.
vice president, so that
Yeah.
crossed him off.
Pro therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts. The Thera partners. Thank you, Dirty B and Pickett. And we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Thera producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Don, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai, Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma Kane, and welcoming Alina.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't
and
you?
enjoy our
Pew, pew.
spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. It's /PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget all the extra goodies at